That's a long link, That's a long. Okay, there we go. All right. Above. Any consecrated item that is fit for offering upon the altar, but not for temple upkeep, or fit for temple upkeep but not for offering upon the altar, or neither fit for offering upon the altar nor for the temple upkeep, is subject to Meila. Excuse me. How so? If one consecrated a pit filled with water, a manure dump filled with manure, a dovecote filled with doves, or a tree filled with fruit, or a field filled with grasses, both they and their content are subject to Meila. But if one consecrated a pit and it subsequently became filled with water, a manure dump and it subsequently became filled with manure, a dovecote and it subsequently filled with doves, a tree and it subsequently filled with fruit, or a field and it subsequently filled with grasses, they are subject to Meila, but their contents are not subject to Meila. These are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. Meila says, if one consecrates a field or a tree, they and the produce are subject to Meila because the produce is the root of the hektish. So Rabbi Yehuda is saying that if the stuff is there when you consecrate it, the water, the dove, the manure, whatever, if it's in there already, you're okay. And Rabbi Shimon is saying, no, it's not.
Well,
no, wait, no.
It's not you're okay. It's what actually is consecrated. Is that does the water that comes in subsequently, whatever? Well, actually, the machlokes is not about the water in the pit. It's about the things that are naturally going to grow from the tree or naturally going to grow from the field.
Right. Okay. I just want to make sure I had correct. Okay. The offspring of a Misa animal may not suckle from the Misa animal, and others would therefore donate milk for this purpose. The offspring of a consecrated animal may not suckle from the consecrated animal, and others would therefore donate milk for this purpose. Laborers may not eat the dried figs of the hektish, and so too a cow may not eat the vetch of the hektish. The roots of the commonest tree that extended into Hektish's field, or the roots of Hektish's tree that extended into a commonest field, are not permitted for benefit, but are not subject to Meila. Spring that flows from a field of Hektish is not permitted for benefit, but is not permitted for benefit, but is not subject to Meila. Once the water flows out of the Hektish field, one may derive benefits from it. The libation water that is in a golden jug is not permitted for benefit, but is not subject to Meila. Once the water has placed into the flask, it is subject to Meila. The willow branch is not permitted for benefit and is not subject to Meila. Reb Eliezer, the son of Reb Tzadok, says the elders used to place the branch in their lulavim.
Okay. Oh no, sorry. One more for.
You sure? Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
A bird's nest atop a tree of hektish is not permitted for benefit, but it is not subject to Meila. Regarding a bird's nest that is in a shera, one should knock it down with a stick. If one consecrated thesaurus, everything it contains is subject to Meila. The temple treasury is purchased trees. The trees are subject to Meila, but the shavings and the leaves are not subject to Meila. Okay.
Okay. Fine. Kodshem Mizbeach. So things that have been sanctified to be brought on the altar. Mitzdarfim zeim ze Meila. So they combine with each other to make the shir of Meila. What's the shir of Meila? 1 pruta. Okay, it's not a very large amount, but it's difficult to imagine how you could do 2 small acts that each is a half a pruta on 2 separate kodshem mizbeach. But let's say you could, then those 2 would combine to make him chayav meila. And also, if you got 2 separate korbanos that became pigul, or 2 separate korbanos that became nosar, or 2 separate korbanos that became tameh, or no, not the korbanos became tameh, but the person himself became tameh, and he ate half a kazayas from each of them. Okay, those combine, because it's all talking about it's the same chiyuv. So whether it comes from 1 animal or 2 doesn't matter, because it's the same mitzvah. But if you take half a kazayas of pigul and half a kazayas of nosar, that does not combine. Okay. Kodshe bedek habayis mitzdarfim zem zeh. Also, when it comes to things that belong to the temple treasury, if you have half a pruta of benefit from a piece of wood that belongs to the treasury, and half a pruta that belongs to that comes from some whatever else that belongs to the temple treasury, a donkey that belongs to the temple treasury, that all is that those 2 combine to make him chayav for meila. Kodshe mizbeach v'kodshe bedek habayis mitztarfim zem ze lemeila. And furthermore, even if you combine half a pruta of something of benefit from something that's for bedek bias and half a pruta for mezikot shavizbeach, that also combines because it's still the same mitzvah of Meila. You've misused something that belongs to the temple, and it'll cross the categories just for the sake of Meila. Okay, because it is ultimately the same isser. And we've seen that principle before with I think it was Rabbi Shimon who brought this out, who was quoted as saying this halacha that when you've got two, or maybe it was Rabbi Shimon is different from the others who held that even if it crosses. I'm trying to remember where we saw this before. We've been doing enough chazara on these things that at least it's reminding me of something, but I can't remember offhand what the chiyuv is that where we saw these mitzvahs before, where you've got two things that combine. I don't think it was in Kresos, but we'll leave that for another time because I can't remember it right now. Okay, okay. So there are four things that combine with in the ola. Why for Meila? If a person benefits from these five things, each one is a fifth of a pruta, and you benefited from each one of them together, they will all come together to make you five for Meila. Habasa, the flesh, the chaylev, the forbidden fats, the solis, the flour that gets brought as along with the I suppose for an ola you can have an ola that is made of flour, right? Hayayin, the wine that's brought as a libation with it, and the shemen that's also brought with it. And six things when it comes to korban toda. It's all these five things that we just mentioned: the flesh, the chaylev, the solis, the yayin, the shemen, and the lechem, because you also bring bread with the korban toda. Trumas maser, or trumas maser shel demai. So all these are all gifts that have to be given to the kohen, right? Trumas maser shel demai, which is a separate category because it isn't actually, it's not a Torah chiyuv, but because you have doubtful produce that remember demai is what you got from the Amaretz, and you're not sure if you took trumas maser or not. So we just pass in that you always have to give trumas maser, but it's got a slightly different halachas than regular trumas maser. Chala, okay, also has to be given to the kohen. Bikurim also has to be given to the kohen. All of these mitztarfim zem ze le'esor u'lechayev alehem esachomesh. So they combine with each other. That if any of these, so they all have the same shiur of bittul, right? All of them need 1 in 200. Sorry, 1 in 100. 1 in 100. Beg your pardon. For the shear is 1 in 100, then it's batel. So if a small amount of each of these fell into a pile of chulin, and you couldn't separate them out, then they combine to make that one in the 100 that'll make it asar. Okay, in less than 100 at least. And to be mechayev a chomesh, so that if a non-kohen ate a kazayas of all these things, then he's going to have to pay them back to the kohen plus a chomesh. Yeah, so it's only once he gets to a kazayas that he actually has to pay back the chomesh. Correct. Okay.
I'm just going to open the door, otherwise we'll hear whining all day.
All right. Okay. Can you hear me?
All right.
Gimel. And also,
I'm sorry. Did I take the wrong thing out?
No, we haven't finished. We haven't finished with the new.
Oh, okay, that's what I thought. All right, that's fine. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Gimel. So Mishna Gimel. Kol hapigulin mitztarfim zem zeh. So all different korbanos that if you have 2 or 3 different korbanos that all turned into pigul, they will join with each other in order to make a person chayav for
One another.
or katas if they ate it. Okay, it's and again, it's the shear is a kazais. Kol nosarin mitztarfim zemze, and any number of korbanos that became nosar also join with each other to be for the kazais. Kol nevelos mitztarfim zemzo, and also now switching into regular kashrus and tumah, all different animal carcasses join together for the din of nevela. Now that's not just about the this is for kazayas for tumah, and even a nevela of a behemoth tamea with a behemoth tahora. So if you have a half a kazayas of a cow of a nevela cow and half a kazayas of a nevela pig, they will still join together to make nevela to make tumah. Because tumas nevela, because a person becomes tameh from touching nevela. So if they're together and he touches them, that's or he carries them, then he becomes tameh from that. Okay, but mago masa with touching or with carrying. But for achila, you only be for deliberately eating it and being chayav in malchus, then you wouldn't be chayav for mixing half a kazayas of pork and half a kazayas of beef nevela, that is, okay, because they're two different isurim. One is nevela and one is basa is a forbidden animal. So they're two separate isurim. Okay, kol hashratzim mitztarfim zemze. Also the creeping things. You know, you've got these small animals that make you tameh with a lentil's bulk. So if you have half a lentil's bulk of one and half a lentil's bulk of the other, and you touch them together, that becomes tameh. But they have a kula. Remember, they don't make you tameh with carrying. So that's the kula of shratzim, is that they're not matameh b'masa. Okay, dam hasheretz ubasaro mitztarfim. The blood of a sheretz and its flesh join together to make that half to make that adasha. And Klal Amar Rabbi Yeshua, your general rule, says Rabbi Yeshua, is kol shetumaso v'shiro shavin. Anything where the tuma and the shear are equal, mitztarfim zemzeh. So then they will join with each other equally. Right? So if your tuma is with kazayas, then they'll join together for a kazayas. Tumaso v'lo shiro v'lo tumaso. But if they have different shirim in tuma, or quantity, or lo tumas or lo shiro, and it's tarfim same, then they do not join with each other. So, for example, a half an adasha of a sheretz with half an adasha of a nevela would not join together, and for tuma, and even. I mean, you could say like half a kazayas of a sheretz, but half a kazayas of a sheretz is already matame by itself. But here's the kula. Let's say you have half an adasha, half a kazayas of a sheretz, and half a kazayas of a nevela, and they're together in a bag, and he picks them up without touching them. That again, he would not be tame because the masa part is not applicable to the sheretz. So you've only got half a kazayas that's matame b'masa, and therefore he would not become tame from that. Okay, let's do chazars. Kresos vav zayin.
If one sets aside his katos and dies, son may not bring it after him, and he may not bring it from one sin to another. Even if it was set aside for chaylev that had eaten yesterday, he may not bring it for the chaylev he ate today, for it is stated his offering for his sin. That is, his offering shall be for his sin. From funds that it's consecrated for a new lamb, we may bring a she-goat. From the funds consecrated for a she-goat, we may bring a new lamb. And from funds consecrated for a new lamb, we may bring a she-goat. We may bring turtle doves or young pigeons. Frozen funds consecrated for turtle doves or young pigeons, we may bring 1/10 of an ephah. How so? If he set money aside for a new lamb or a she-goat and then became poor, he may bring birds. If he became still poorer, he may bring 1/10 of an ephah. If he set aside money for 1/10 of an ephah and then became prosperous, he must bring birds. If he became still more prosperous, he must bring a ewe lamb or a she-goat. If he set aside a ewe lamb or a she-goat and he developed a blemish, If he wishes, he may bring birds upon their proceeds, from their proceeds, and he may set aside a bird, and it became blemished. He may not bring, when it became blemished, he may not bring the proceeds of a tenth of an ephah for a bird, has no redemption. 10. Reb Shimon says everywhere lambs are mentioned before goats. I would think that this is because they're preferable to them. Scripture states that if he brings that, and if he bring a lamb for katos, this teaches us that both are equal. Everywhere turtle doves are mentioned before young pigeons, I would think that this is because they are preferable to them. Therefore, Scripture states, and a young pigeon or a turtle dove for a katos teaches us both are equal. And everywhere the father is mentioned before the mother, I would think that the father's honor exceeds the mother's honor. Therefore, Scripture says, every man shall fear his mother and his father. This teaches us that both are equal, but the sages say everywhere the father takes precedence to the mother because both he and his mother are obligated to honor his father. And so it is with the study of Torah. If we were sure, if the son gained much while sitting before the teacher, he receives the father in all matters, because both he and his father are obligated to honor the teacher. Good. Okay.
Yep, that's it. Hadron Maseches Krisos. And then we start again with at the beginning of Meila tomorrow.
Meila again at the beginning? Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Arachim.
One who consecrates his field at a time when the yovel is not enforced, they say to him, you bid first, where the owner gives a fifth, whereas any other person does not give the fifth. There was a story of a person who consecrated his field because of its poor quality, and he said to him, you bid first. And he said, it is mine for an issa. Rabbi Yossi said, this one said nothing other than for an egg. The consecrated property may be redeemed with money or with something worth money. He said to him, it is yours. Thus he was found to have lost an issa, and his field was still his. If one said it is mine for 10 salam, and he said one said 20, and one said 30, and one said 40, and one said 50. If the one who had 50 retracted, we secure the property from his property up to 10 salam. If one who bid 40 retracted, they secure from his property up to 10 salam. If the one who bid 30 retracted, they secure from his property up to 10. If the one who bid 20 retracted, they secure from his property up to 10. And the one who bid 10 retracted, they sell it for its worth and collect the balance from the money from the one who bid 10. The owner says for 20, and others say for 20, and the owner is giving preference because he adds a fifth. If one said it is mine for 21, the owner must give 26 for 22. The owner must give 27 for 23. The owner must give 28 for 24, and the owner must give 29 for 25. The owner must give 30, for we do not add a fifth to the increment from this one's bid. And if one said it is mine for 26, if the owner wishes to give 31 now, 31 and a dinner, the owner is giving preference. And if not, they say it is yours. A person may declare a Karen part of the flock to his cattle. Some of the male and female Canaanite slaves are part of the ancestral land. But if you declare all of them to be Karen, they do not become Karen. These are the words of Elazar. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah said.
Oh, no, wait, just a second. No, we've gone too far. Sorry, we just need to do up to end of Mishnah Gimel. I just checked on the schedule.
Menachem. Okay. If he slaughtered the two lambs intending to eat one of the loaves tomorrow, or he burnt the 2 spoonfuls of frankincense, it's intending to eat one of the arrangements below. Rabbi Yossi says that loaf or that arrangement about which he expressed his intention is pigul, and one is liable to carry his whole written. The second one is invalid, but carries no penalty of karas. And the sages say both are pigul and one is liable to karas over them. If one of the loaves or one of the arrangements become tummy, Rabbi Yehuda says they should both go out to the place of burning because the communal offering is not divisible. But the Chachamim say the one who is tummy remains in a state of tumah, and the one who is tahor is eaten. The Todah offering renders the bread pickle, and the bread does not render the Todah offering pickle. How so? If one slaughters a Todah offering intending to eat from it tomorrow, both it and the bread become pickle. However, if he intended to eat from the bread tomorrow, his bread becomes pickle, and the Todah offering does not become pickle. The lambs render the bread pickle, but the bread does not tend render the lambs pickle. How so? If one slaughters the lambs intending to eat from them tomorrow, both they and the bread become pickled. However, if he intended to eat from the bread tomorrow, the bread becomes pickled and the lambs do not become pickled. The sacrifice renders the libation pickled once they have been consecrated in a vessel. Here's other words of Meila, but the libation do not render the sacrifice pickled. How else so? If one slaughters the sacrifice intending to eat from it tomorrow, both he and his libation become pickled. However, if he intended to offer the libations tomorrow, the libations become pickled, but the sacrifice does not become pickled. Okay. And we go on. Move us on. Okay, as long as it's permitted, right? As long as it's permitted to eat hummus, one may feed it to livestock, beasts, and birds, as well as and sell it to a Gentile. Deriving.
Wait. Involvement here, Aleph base.
Oh, I went to Pesach. I'm going to see it.
Yeah.
Over here. Yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry, what did you say?
Aleph base. Involvement here.
Hold on to your hat, buddy. If two were riding an animal and one was riding and the other was leading, and one says it is all mine and the other says it is mine, this one must swear that he owns no less of it than half, and that one must swear that he owns less than half, and they divide it. Whenever they divide, whenever they admit or they have witnesses, they divide without an oath. If while we're riding an animal saw an acquirable object and said to another, give it to me, and the latter took it himself and said, I've acquired it for myself. He has indeed acquired it. If after he gave it to him, he said, I acquired it first, as though it is as though he said nothing. If one saw an acquirable object and fell upon it and another came and seized it, the one who seized it acquired it. If one saw people running after an acquirable object, after a lame deer or young birds that cannot yet fly, and he said, my field has acquired it for me, this is indeed acquired for him. If the deer was running normally or the young birds were flying and he said, my field is acquired for me, as though he said nothing. The finding of one's mind a son or daughter.
Hold it, stop. I was just going to say that the reason his field can acquire it for him is because it's easy to catch it. So anyone can walk out and grab it. If he can walk out and grab it, then his field can grab it. But if it's a deer running through that he wouldn't be able to catch by himself, then his field can't catch it for him either.
The finding of one's son or daughter who is of age, the finding of one's bondsman or bondswoman.
Oh, we're in Pesachim now.
You don't like this one. Okay.
I like it, but I want to save it for tomorrow.
All right. Okay. Oh, it's great. I took my tissue out. Now I have no idea where
we are. So it's base Gimel.
If a Gentile lent money to a Jew on his chametz, then when after Pesach deriving benefit from it is permitted. But if a Jew lent money to a Gentile on chametz, then after Pesach deriving benefit is forbidden. If a ruined collapse or chametz is regarded as removed, and Reb Gamliel says, provided a dog cannot search it out. One who has eaten truma of chametz on Pesach inadvertently must repay the Cohen, a principal plus a fifth. If he eats it deliberately, he is free from payment and from liability for its value as fuel. These are the species of grain which a man fulfills his obligation of matzah on Pesach with wheat, barley, spelt, or rye and oats, and we can discharge it with the mai. With first tithe whose truma had separated, and with second tithe of consecrated produce that were redeemed, kohanim with kala, and with truma, but not with untied produce, nor with first tithe truma has not been separated, nor with second tithe or consecrated produce that were not redeemed. Okay. Regarding the unleavened loaves of the Thanksgiving offering and the Nazarite's prayer, if he made for himself, he cannot fill his obligation with them. But if he made them to sell on the produce, he can fill his obligation with them. Okay. All right, we have time. Did you ever go to sleep and all of a sudden wake up in the middle of the night and say, I have an urge to eat this or I have an urge to eat that? Did that ever happen to you?
Not since I was pregnant.
That's right. My wife woke me up at 2 o'clock in the morning, not last night, the night before. She said, you want to have matzah brai? I said, what? I would do that because I won't eat all the matzah. She said, you can eat it if you want. I had the blues. You just woke up. Oh, you want a matzah brai? I said, no, that's okay. All right. Vav Ket.
Tet.
every fish that has scales has fins, but there can be a fish that has fins but does not have scales. Every animal that has horns has split hooves, but there can be an animal with split hooves that does not have horns. Everything that requires a blessing after requires a blessing before it, but there can be something that requires a blessing before it, but does not require a blessing after it. A girl who produced two hairs that can perform either kalitza or yibum, and she is obligated in all the commandments stated in the Torah. Similarly, a boy who produces two hairs is obligated in all the commandments stated in the Torah. He is eligible to be a ben sora ma'ora for the time he produces two hairs until the beard grows around it, which refers to the lower beard, not the upper one, for the sages spoken realistically. The girl who produced two hairs cannot perform miyum, where Yehuda says, until the black appears abundant. Okay.
And we are done. And I wish you a wonderful and restful Shabbos and Ani Besaras Tovas for you and all Klal Yisrael.
Amen. Thank you. Be well.